Well guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. You might notice that my background's a little bit different today. I am currently in America visiting my family for about a month. So this is my lovely backyard. Definitely not a bad place to be for summer by any means. So I'm excited to be here, but let's dive into what this video is actually about today. So I get a lot of DMs and questions and comments about what I actually do for work, how I got started, and many frequently asked questions and general questions about being a digital nomad, being a freelancer, owning your own business, getting clients, all those things. So what I decided to do is the other day I put up a poll story question box thing on my Instagram and asked you guys what are some of the top questions you wanted me to answer about working online, being a digital nomad, all of the above. So today I'm going to jump into those questions and answer them as best my abilities I can for you guys and give you some insight into what I do, how I got started, as well as some tips for you guys that might help you get started, finding your first clients, and get to living this wonderful digital nomad life. But before I jump in, I do want to remind you, if you really like this channel, if you want to hear more about the digital nomad life, then please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Join this beautiful, lovely community that I truly adore so much, and never miss a moment of the digital nomad life and all the videos I'm putting together for you guys. So let's go start with the first question. The first question that I got a few times from you guys was, how did I start and what do I exactly do? So I think I've touched on this a bit about what I do, but I'll give you guys a full breakdown overview of exactly what I do for work every single day. So I do podcast management, content repurposing, digital marketing for my clients. So most of my clients will record a podcast, send it to me, and I will either edit it or oversee whoever their editor is to make sure the podcast comes out perfect at the end. And then once the podcast is edited, I will write their show notes for their podcast hosting platform as well as their YouTube description, make sure those are scheduled out and published on all their platforms. And then one of the biggest things I do is I take the actual full-length podcast episode for my clients and I chop it up into small clips for social media for them to go on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Reels, TikTok, you name it, wherever their audience is, we put out all that for them and I write their social media copy for them as well. Then I just check their analytics, make sure we're growing, and sometimes I even dive into email marketing with them for newsletters and different ways for them to grow their podcast show and help to grow their audience and keep them engaged. So that is a nice brief overview of what I do for my clients, and how I got started kind of was an accident, really, to be honest. So basically how my story started was, obviously, if you've watched before, I quit my job, I started traveling and took some time off. And as I was traveling, I really knew I wanted to find a way to sustain this lifestyle. And so I started taking online courses to learn marketing skills, to figure out ways I could work online and just hone in more skill sets to be able to get clients online. And so my first course was actually a virtual assistance course. And I took that course, learned as much as I could, and kind of first dove into social media marketing. I got my first 2 clients and I started growing from there. And I was doing that for a while for some people. And then while I was living in Bali, I always wanted to start my own podcast. It was like a dream of mine. And I was like, you know what? Now's the time. There was a great podcasting studio. I had the guests lined up from people I met. I had the name, all of it together. And I was like, let's just do it. So I decided to launch my own podcast. And I didn't have the funds to really hire somebody to help me do it. So it took weeks and weeks after I've recorded everything and done all of that to really learn and dive in, talk to people I knew who were kind of in the similar space, and watch YouTube videos and learn as much as I could about skills about launching my podcast, all of the aspects and responsibilities that come with that. And then I launched my first show. It's in my first season. I learned so much and I was like, I bet you I could actually do this for other people. And I wasn't really in love with just doing social media marketing anymore. And this is a great way to take my social media skills, take my love for podcasting, and turn it into a full-blown business. And it's been almost 2 years of doing that now, and I absolutely love it. So that's kind of how I got started and what I do for work. It definitely transitioned over time. And I will tell you, one of the biggest things that I say to people who want to get started is you don't need to find your forever job. Like, I don't even know if I'll be doing podcasting forever, to be honest. I am just building a business and seeing where life takes me and see what doors open. And I really suggest that for anyone who wants to get started. Learn some skills, try and start working in that field and see what doors open, because you do really never know. So question number 2, this one also came up a lot, was how did I find my first client? So I will lay everything out for you guys. My first client was through my network. I started, obviously, like I said, taking the courses, learning the skills, doing all of the things. But I started just talking to people I knew, told them what I wanted to do, told them the skills I was learning, everything. And from there, I actually got my first 2 clients. One was a travel-based company for my friend who ironically needed a new social media manager. So I started working for them, and that was the first client. And then the second client was actually through my mom. She had somebody who was starting a new business and really needed somebody to take over social media. And she knew obviously that I was starting this, and she offered me as somebody to talk to. I spoke to them and explained how I would take social media off their hands, what I would help to do with their business, how I would curate their social media feeds, all of that, and they decided to hire me. So I know some people might say, oh, that's lucky, like you were able to get that. It only happened because I started actually telling people what I wanted to do. It's scary, don't get me wrong. When you say to someone, oh, I want to get into social media marketing, and they have their own media PR marketing business, you might feel like a bit dumb at first, but you really shouldn't, because the people who've made it, the people who've gotten there, never judge people who want to start. They're always there to help, and I think talking to your network is one of the best things you can do. Now, after that, how did I expand? My next client came from Upwork, and I know freelancing sites like Upwork and Fiverr do have a bad reputation of being oversaturated, and I definitely agree. And I don't think Upwork or Fiverr should ever be your number one go-to, because I do think it's really hard for you to stand out when it's a very saturated market and there are some people who can offer similar services for less. But there are clients who are looking for higher grade services. They're looking for someone based in the US. They're looking for people who speak the same language. They're looking for people who know what they're doing. And so what I did was I started my first Upwork profile. I created a mock portfolio. I wrote cover letters. I put my CV together. I attached all that stuff to my profile. And then every single day, I'm not kidding, every single day, I would go on Upwork, because jobs are posted throughout the day. I would go on Upwork, read through the job, put my filters on for what I wanted to be paid, for what type of job it was, the hours I wanted to work. And then I would just look and see what was posted every day. And from there, luckily, I had 2 clients who I found who had jobs I was really interested in. I applied to them. I made sure I had a cover letter explaining exactly what my skills were, explaining how I could help them, explaining why I would be good for their business. And then I attached my sample portfolios, including the work that I had done for 2 previous clients. Now, if you don't have work from 2 previous clients, create a mock portfolio, create mock samples. You can do all of these things. You can easily do all these things in Canva even, to make it super simple for you. And then you want to attach that and send that off. And I'm not going to lie to you, it did take a lot of applications to be able to get my first 2 clients, but I was able to actually do it. And I was able to find some clients on there. And then from there, kind of continually growed. Obviously, at some point I pivoted and worked towards the podcast management side. And I still use Upwork every once in a while to look for new clients. I also use my own references. I use my own network. And LinkedIn is a really great place to talk to people, create a network, and find other jobs out there. So that is how I found my first client, and also how I suggest you kind of go about looking for clients. Like I said, you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. So definitely spread yourself out. Talk to people in your network, look on some other freelancing sites, go on LinkedIn, see what jobs are posted, create a network in LinkedIn, go post content what you do on your LinkedIn profile, on your Instagram, and kind of grow your base from there. And I'm telling you, you definitely will be able to find clients. And then the next question we got is, what hours do you work, and are most of your clients in the US? So all of my clients are in the US. I find that it's easier for payment-wise. I think some of my clients find comfort in having a US freelancer. I also think it's easier for them payment-wise to be paying a US contractor, but all of them are in the US. They're based between the East Coast, Central US, and Pacific. So they kind of do range. Now, with that being said, obviously I live in Barcelona, so I am 6 hours ahead of the East Coast. So my hours do vary a bit. I will say this, I don't have daily emails and daily work to be done with my clients. They give me their podcast. We know what's happening well in advance, and I'm able to schedule out my workload. But I did have one client for a bit where I was actually needing to be on email, available for those hours of US. So I pretty much was working about 2:30 p.m. Barcelona time to about, I told them 10:30 was my cutoff Barcelona time. So that 2:30 to 10:30 p.m. Now, it might sound late for some people, and it definitely is a bit late, but I will tell you, I absolutely love those hours. Like, I still keep to them, even though I don't necessarily need to be like working during those hours, but I still do really keep those hours, mostly because I love my mornings. Like, I wake up in the morning, I go to the gym, I come home and I make breakfast, I'll read my book, I'll shower, I'll journal, I'll do some social media stuff for myself. And I don't really have any client interactions, no email coming in, no messages until about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So it gives me a lot of time to get ahead of things, to catch up on things, to do some of my own personal work for my YouTube, for my social media, that kind of stuff. And then I dive into my client stuff later when they're around. And although obviously I do have to be around a bit later, I do really love it because I can still go to dinner with my friends for an hour or two. I'm not tied down to anything since I'm obviously freelancing. I'm not a 9 to 5 employee for anybody, but I'm available most of the time. And at night, honestly, besides a couple nights a week where I go out to dinner with a friend or get drinks or go out to dinner with Harry, I'm home. So I don't really mind. Like, my computer's open, email's available if they need me. If not, I'm reading or watching Netflix. And then if an email comes up, I'll answer them, I'll do the work, and I'll go back to what I was doing. So I really do love those US hours in Spain. I think it's absolutely amazing. Obviously, I'm back in America right now, and I am not enjoying the fact that when I wake up and by the time I have my breakfast sit down, my clients are ready to go and messaging me and needing text. So I definitely do enjoy the US hours abroad when it comes to living in Europe. And next question we got, what does work-life balance look like? Because I know there are a lot of welcome distractions. Yes, there are loads of distractions. And I will say, living in some places is harder than others. In Bali, I found the distractions to be very, very high. Everyone's going to the pools, everyone's going to the beach for the day. They're going to get lunch together. Like, Bali is a very different world when it comes to being social, and you're doing things almost every single day with people. And there are plans going on all the time. Obviously, there's loads of tourists there all the time as well. So there's parties every day, every night. So you can always kind of get really distracted and chase something if you want. And it was definitely a place where I struggled in the beginning a bit with distractions. But I think you have to remind yourself, like, what are you doing this for? Like, I'm doing it so I have the freedom to live my life and kind of live around the world and travel, whatever. And the reality is that that is my why. And I can't do those things. I can't have that why if I'm not working. So I really do set a schedule for myself. Like I said, in Barcelona, between 2 and 10, I know I'm definitely working unless I schedule in a dinner with my friends or with Harry on a night where things are slow. But when I was in Bali, it got to the point where I knew I was going to need to put my head down a bit more. So I would schedule in work, say 3 to 4 hours a day. So from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., I am working. I'm at a cafe and I'm working. Someone can sit next to me and work with my friends, but I will be working. I think creating that schedule for yourself is so massively important, because although you have the freedom to work when you want and work where you want, all these things, if you don't give yourself some structure or routine, you are setting yourself up for failure. I definitely think having a morning routine, having a time frame to do work, don't be like, oh, I'm going to work for an hour, go to the pool, work for an hour, do this, blah, blah. It's going to be so easy to get distracted or caught up in those other things you're doing in between. Just try and give yourself a time block where you know that is your working time. You know that's when you put your head down, that's when you get your things done. And then the reward of being able to do things after is so much better. But having structure is so, so important when it comes to traveling and working online. And one of the other big things I think is slow travel. If you're traveling and you're moving to a new place every couple of days, every week, every 2 weeks, I've done it before, and you burn out so much. Last year, we were in a new place every month, and I thought I was like slow traveling at that point. And it absolutely was not. By the time we got to see the things we wanted to do on the weekends, we're obviously working during the week, taking a little bit of time off. And by the time we're comfortable somewhere, we're moving on to the next one. And it was very taxing and tiring. And I know some people that have even tried to do moving every couple days, really just getting through countries and getting through places quite quickly and seeing as much as they can, and truly just burning out fully. So if you really are trying to build a business, work full time, or create a good income source for yourself and have a bunch of clients, slow travel is going to be the answer for you without having burnout or the guilt of missing out on things. But remind yourself, like I said earlier, why are you doing this? You're doing this to give yourself the freedom and the flexibility to have this lifestyle. The only way to have the freedom and flexibility to live a lifestyle is to work. So prioritize that and prioritize the fact that you're actually getting things done and getting yourself to where you want to be in the future. And we got 2 more questions left. So I had a bunch of questions of people asking how you manage or keep a stable income. So one thing I will say is, being a freelancer, obviously you're not a salaried employee. Unless you have a year-long contract, most of the time your income is going to be very unstable. But what I like to do, and especially for what I do for podcasting, is I need at least 3 months with a client. I prefer actually 6 months to really be able to get into your business, to get into things, to be able to help you grow and see a difference. And so all of my contracts are a minimum of 3 months. So I have a 3-month window where I know that I have that income coming in. And within a month or a month and a half that, I start looking for new clients. Now, I try and keep long-term clients. That is one tip I will give, is if you can find long-term clients, definitely try and do that. Because having a lot of short-term clients, I went through a period where I was just having people with 3-month windows, and it was extremely taxing and tiring being on this wave of finding new clients, them leaving, finding the clients and leaving and keep going back and back because there were short project-based things. So now I really do look for people for long term. When I meet with client, I ask them if it's long term. I ask them what they're looking for. I explain why I need 3 or 6 months in their business to really show growth, to really help them, to integrate, to streamline things, all of the above. So I think looking for those longer term contracts is going to help with the stability a bit of your income. The way I try and view it is I have a couple clients that I know are long term. I've been with them for over a year, but that income is pretty much stable. So my other clients that I work with that I know are not potentially long term, I try and base my lifestyle off of what I make on those clients that I have had for a long time and I know will be there for quite a bit. And then obviously all the extra money I try and put away, or I save, or maybe I put away maybe for a trip I'm saving up for, or my own savings or investing or whatever. And that way, if I have a lower month where I'm just on those couple long-term clients that I've had and I don't have any short-term clients, I'm not actually living a lifestyle above my means, if that makes sense. So that's one way to look at it, but I definitely do think freelancing is a bit hard in that sense because you don't always have a stable income. But the best thing about freelancing is that you actually have no cap on your income. So unlike a salary, when you're an employee and someone's telling you, you're making 60 grand a year and next year you can get a raise, maybe it's a couple percentage and you go up to 64 grand a year. When you break that down, that's not a lot of money. It's like a little over 300, it's like 350 or something, or maybe less a month more you're making. Whereas in freelancing, you don't have a cap. Like you can continue to get more clients, you can grow your business, you can hire people, you can scale, and there is no limit to what you can make. So there's definitely the absolute plus side to working as a freelancer. And the last question I had is a two-parter. So the first part is, do you have your clients sign contracts and where do you get them? Yes, I have all of my clients sign a contract. In the contract, I specifically state what services I'm providing for them, the term of our contract, if it is short-term, long-term, starting date, those kind of things. And then obviously in the contract, I state what the actual fees will be monthly. I do monthly for all my clients. And one thing I would state is when your client should be paying you. Is it the first of the month, the last of the month? Just have that in the contract so you don't have to worry about late payments. Your client acknowledges the fact that you'll be paid on X date and you can go from there. But definitely make sure you have that client contract signed just so you both are going through your terms. You can honestly find freelance client contract templates online if you just Google them. There's plenty of out there that are quite good. Just go in, fill your information in, and you should be good to go. Just make sure whatever country you're in that you're using a contract with legal jargon verbiage from that country. But I definitely suggest that you get one. And the second part of his last question was, how do I receive payments? So for my clients, they all actually do a direct deposit into my account. And I'm not exactly sure how it works in all countries for a direct deposit, but my clients, on my invoice, I will include my account number and my routing number for the US, and they just direct deposit the payment straight into there. It's ACH payment. If you send it to your clients, they'll know what you're talking about. But another option that you can actually do is you can set up a Stripe account and send them the Stripe invoice and they can pay directly on there. Or another option, if you're an international or you're living international, a lot of my friends do this as well, is they have a Wise business account. Now, Wise is great for transferring money internationally. I use it personally to transfer money from my US account into my Spanish bank account, but you can also set up a Wise business account. And different currencies, different countries can deposit money into that account, and then you can pull money from your Wise business account. So that is another option that you can have for payments. Now, I'm sure there are loads of more questions you guys have. These are the top ones that you sent in to me. If you have any other questions, please drop them down in the comments below. I will respond back to you guys. But I know what it feels like to be a bit lost in the beginning and not knowing where to start and getting your first client. It is a bit difficult. Like I said, I started with my network first and then went from there. You can also just start online, creating the mock portfolios, reaching out to people, but it is just getting started. Like, you will learn so much by just getting started. Your clients will also teach you things. You'll learn on the job. Like, there's so much growth that can happen. It really just begins with taking the first step. And don't wait for the time that you feel 100% ready, because you never will. I'm telling you, you'll never feel 100% ready. But you can definitely do it, because if I can do it, you can do this too. And like I said, if you have any more questions, drop them in the comments. And if you're loving this video, and you enjoy my channel on digital nomad life, living in Spain, traveling, and all about remote working, freelancing, all the kind of stuff, then make sure you subscribe to my channel and join this community. Like I said before, I absolutely adore you guys. I love the messages. I love the comments. I really do love it all, and it means so much to me. So let me know if there's more topics you guys want me to talk about, but I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.